Hello, and welcome. Today, we're going to dive into something pretty incredible, a superpower that every single one of us has, right between our ears. We are talking about your brain's amazing, and I mean amazing, ability to change. So let me just kick things off with a question. Have you ever felt that your brain is, well, kind of set in stone? You know that the talents and personality you were born with are just what you're stuck with for life. It's a super common idea.
Well, if that's what you've been thinking, I'm here to tell you that the real story is so much more exciting. The science tells a completely different and way more hopeful story.
For the longest time, even scientists believed the adult brain was a static, unchanging thing. But that whole myth, it's been totally shattered. It turns out your brain has a genuine superpower, and just understanding it can literally change your life.
And that superpower is called neuroplasticity. It's this wild, extraordinary capacity your brain has to reorganize itself. We're talking physically and functionally throughout your entire life. This isn't some rare trick, you know. It's the basic way your brain works, constantly adapting to every single thing you do, think, and experience.
So, how does this work? Well, you can kind of break it down into two main types. On one side, you've got synaptic plasticity. The best way to think about this is like adjusting the volume on the connections between your brain cells. The more you use a connection, the stronger and louder that signal gets. But then you've got structural plasticity, which is even crazier. This is like your brain building entirely new roads and highways, creating brand new pathways for information to travel.
Okay, so if our brains are always changing, how does that rewiring actually happen? Let's get into the nitty-gritty, the mechanics of how these connections are made, strengthened, and sometimes even let go.
This right here is the classic phrase that sums it all up. Neurons that fire together, wire together. It's a simple but powerful idea from way back in 1949, and it's the absolute cornerstone of how our brains learn. See, every time you have a thought or do something, a bunch of neurons fire off. The more you repeat that thought or action, the stronger that pathway becomes. It really is the ultimate use it or lose it system.
And this whole process is exactly how we form habits. Let's look at the habit loop. Picture this. You feel stuck on a project at work. That's your cue. That cue triggers a craving for a little mental break. What's the response? You pick up your phone and start scrolling. And the reward is that little hit of distraction that makes you feel better for a second. Your brain connects that cue with that reward, wiring that habit deeper and deeper every single time. Understanding this loop is the secret to both building good habits and, you guessed it, taking apart the bad ones.
Okay, now here's where it gets really empowering. Most of the time, this stuff just happens in the background. That's called experience-dependent plasticity. We're just living our lives, reinforcing habits without even realizing it. But, and this is a big but, there's another way, self-directed plasticity. This is an active process where you consciously choose what you focus on. By actually paying attention to how a habit makes you feel, you can intentionally start building the brain pathways you actually want. This is the big shift, right? From being a passenger to getting in the driver's seat of your own brain. And believe me, this isn't just theory. Neuroplasticity has staggering, real-world applications, from helping patients recover from serious brain injuries, all the way to helping you and me build better habits in our everyday lives.
Let's just look at the clinical side for a second. It's mind-blowing. These are strategies used to help people recover from brain injuries, like strokes. Take that first one, Constraint-Induced Movement Therapy. They'll actually restrain a patient's good arm, forcing them to use the one that's impaired. That intense, focused use literally drives the brain to remap its motor pathways. It's the same principle behind using virtual reality or even brain-computer interfaces. We're seeing this used to treat everything from chronic pain to depression, all by tapping into the brain's own ability to change. It's amazing. Okay, so what about for us? You've probably heard that it takes 21 days to form a habit, right? Well, that's actually a bit of a myth that came from a plastic surgeon in the 60s. A big study from University College London found the real number is a little different. On average, it takes about 66 days for a new behavior to become automatic, and that keyword is average. The study found it can range from 18 days all the way to 250 days. So, the biggest takeaway? Be patient with yourself.
So how do you actually make it stick? Here are some really practical, science-backed tips. First, start small. Seriously, even 15 minutes a day is enough. Try something called habit stacking. Tack a new habit onto something you already do, like meditating for 2 minutes right after your morning coffee. Another great one is to change your environment to make good habits easier. And this last one is critical. Journal about it. Consciously thinking about how a good habit makes you feel really strengthens that reward loop. And maybe most important of all, if you miss a day, just get back to it. Consistency, not perfection, is what rewires your brain.
So, we've talked about how neuroplasticity helps us build better habits, but the implications of this science go way beyond our daily routines. Scientists are now looking at how we can use it to build more resilient brains that are better protected against aging and diseases like dementia. A perfect example of this is the Brain Resilience Study. This is this huge research project trying to figure out what it is, from our genes to our lifestyle to our social lives, that helps protect some people's brains from cognitive decline as they get older. It's all about understanding plasticity out in the real world.
And I mean, just look at the level of detail here. They are not messing around. They're combining high-res brain scans, sleep studies, genetic analysis, lifestyle data, the whole shebang. This kind of deep dive is what's going to give us a complete picture of what makes a brain resilient, and hopefully give us the tools to promote brain health for all of us as we age.
So, let's bring this all home, shall we? The science is crystal clear. Your brain is not fixed. Every single day, with every choice you make, you are actively participating in building it. You are the architect.
And this isn't just about physical habits. It's about your thoughts, too. Check this out. A Stanford study actually measured what happens in the brain when people practice positive thinking. The results were just astounding. Activity in the prefrontal cortex, that's your brain's center for emotional regulation, went up. And at the exact same time, reactivity in the amygdala, your fear center, went down. Your thoughts literally, physically change your brain.
So if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's that the old idea of a static, unchangeable brain is dead and gone. It's been replaced by a much more dynamic and, frankly, much more exciting reality. You really do have the power to consciously change your brain for the better, one thought and one action at a time.
So, I'll just leave you with this question. Now that you know the science, now that you know you're holding the blueprints, what are you going to build?